Students often find it difficult to solve questions on change of subject formula in WAEC, GCE, and other external examinations. Today, we are going to look at some of the questions that are difficult or in which students find it difficult to solve in these examinations. We are asked to make the subject formula of this equation here. Make the subject formula in I is equal to square root of E all over R square plus W square L square. So in solving this question, the first step we take is to take the square of both sides, because our R in which we want to make the subject formula is already enclosed in the square root. In order for us to proceed with making it the subject formula, we will definitely have to take it out of this square root sign. By so doing, we will take the square of both sides. Take the square of both sides. So taking the square of both sides, we now have I square is equal to the square root of E all over R square plus W square L square all squared. Our square is going to do away with our square root sign. Now we are left with I square is equal to E all over R square plus W square L square. Now we have done away with our square root sign and our R square in which we want to our R in which we want to make subject formula is out of the square root sign. So the next step we take is to clear the fractions. We need to clear fractions. And by clearing the fractions, we multiply both sides by the LCM, or we multiply both sides by the only denominator in which we have in this fraction, or in which we have in this equation. We'll do that by multiplying both sides by R square plus W square L square. So we'll now have I square multiplied by R square plus W square L square equal to E all over R square plus W square L square multiplied by R square plus W square L square. Our R square plus W square L square, we cancel R square plus W square L square. So now we are left with I square multiplied by R square plus W square L square is equal to E. The next step, we are going to remove bracket on the left hand side of the equation. We remove the bracket by multiplying I square with everything that is inside this bracket. I square times R square will give us I square R square plus I square times W square L square will give us I square W square L square is equal to E. So next step, we are going to take I square W square L square to the other side of the equation, because it is the term which is preventing our R square from being alone on this other side of the equation. So we'll take it to the other side of the equation, and moving to the other side of the equation, our I square W square L square will now take a negative sign. We will now be left with I square R square is equal to E minus I square W square L square. Our R is not yet standing alone on this side. Therefore, in order for R to be standing alone on this side of the equation, we'll make sure we do away with I square by dividing both sides by I square. So we divide both sides by I square so that R square will be left alone. on one side of the equation. So our I square is going to do away with I square. And now we are left with R square is equal to E minus I square W square L square divided by I square. We have not yet made R the subject formula of this equation because we have square on R. So for us to do away with this square, the opposite of square is square root sign. So we'll take the square root of both sides in order for R to be standing alone or to be left alone on the left hand side of the equation. We'll take square root of both sides. So taking square root of both sides, we have the square root of R square is equal to the square root of E minus I square W square L square divided by I square. Our square root sign will do away with the square, and we are left with R is equal to square root of E minus I square W square L square all over I square. So now we have succeeded in making our R the subject formula. And the second question, we are to make K the subject formula in T is equal to NU square all over K minus 5NG. In this equation, we have a fraction. Therefore, the first step we take in making K the subject formula is by doing away with the fraction. And before you can do away with the fraction, we are going to multiply each term in this equation by the only denominator which we have here, which is also our lowest common multiple. Our lowest common multiple is K. LCM is equal to K. So we multiply each term, or we multiply all through by the LCM. Multiply all through by the LCM, which is K. By so doing, we have K times T is equal to K times NU square all over K minus K times 5mg. Our K, we cancel this K here, and then we are left with KT is equal to NU square minus 5mgk. The next step, we are going to collect like terms because we have K here, we also have K here. So we collect like terms by moving this minus 5mgk to the left hand side of the equation so that it gets to meet KT. And moving this to this side, this negative sign is going to change to a positive sign. Then we have KT plus 5mgk, which is equal to NU square. You see that we want to make our K the subject formula to this equation, but we have double K here, we have K here, we have another K here. So in order for us to make it to be 1K, we are going to factorize this left hand side of the equation. And to factorize the left hand side of the equation, we first of all find the common factor in the left hand side of the equation. And the common factor is K because we have K here, also have K here. So put the common factor outside the bracket, then you write the expression you want to factorize inside the bracket. The expression we want to factorize is KT plus 5mgk. So we have KT plus 5mgk. Let the right hand side of the equation let it remain constant as it was. So we are now going to divide each term of this equation by the highest common factor. So we divide it by K, we also divide it by K. K, we go with K, K, we cancel K. Now we are left with K, open bracket, T plus 5mg, close bracket, is equal to NU square. T plus 5mg is a term preventing K from standing alone on this other side and being the subject formula to this equation. So we are going to do away with T plus 5mg. t plus 5mg is combined with k by a mathematical operation which is multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is division. Therefore, we are going to divide both sides by t plus 5mg so that k will be left alone on this side of the equation. So we divide both sides by t plus 5mg divided by t plus 5mg. T plus 5mg will go away with t plus 5mg, and we are left with k is equal to mu squared all over t plus 5mg. So we have successfully made our k the subject formula to this equation. If you find this video valuable, please do well to hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions to ask, please put them down in the comment section. Thank you for watching.